Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the trailer that came out for the 6th and final season of Lucifer. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. A lot of really interesting things. First and foremost, I love that there's kind of like this reality breaking situation kind of going on. Now, I'm not sure whether that's reality breaking literally on Earth or whether that was a hell thing we saw where it seemed like one person like glitched and became another person. I don't know if that's what that was. It seemed like that might have been on Earth. There was even this point of Ella kind of pointing it out, and she's looking at a frog, which I'm like, I'm seeing a frog. I'm like, it sounds like some biblical stuff is happening. So first and foremost, the fact is Ella's pointing out like, oh, she's like the laws of nature or like reality are kind of weird or off. Then I'm like, okay, is that Ella just throwing it out there as a theory as to why everything's weird and she doesn't actually know about all the celestial stuff going on? Or is this because she actually does know and that's why she's saying it? I have no idea. Like, obviously they're still keeping that tight-knit whether or not Ella's gonna find out this season or not. I'm so excited. I hope she does, but there's also a part of me that's like, I hope she doesn't, because I think it'd be funnier if she went the entire series never knowing the truth. But aside from that, like, the fact is why things seem to be going a little chaotic, because Lucifer, even though he has been accepted as God, like his siblings all bow down to him. The fact of the matter is he has a flaming sword, like he stands above everyone. So yeah, he won the competition, he is God, but he hasn't officially taken the throne because both him and Chloe have apprehension about it. Because he's like, yeah, I haven't really fully become God yet. And even she's like, yeah, he doesn't need to like immediately take the throne. Because a minute I was like, take the throne, brother, take Father's throne. And it's like, yeah, neither one of them wants him to immediately take it because, well, I mean, yeah, he jumped at the job, but now he's having second thoughts, I'm sure, because it's like, right, like where does things stand between him and Chloe? Like, once again, I brought this up during my thoughts and theories about like how does that relationship work. It's going to be they're going to be very busy, him in particular, and that means leaving his life behind. Because even in the date announcement, it's like, yeah, this is my final night in LA. Kind of final night on Earth, essentially, because it's like he's going to be God and it's a full-time job, so he can't come down to Earth whenever he wants to. So that's going to be a big thing, because it's like, wait, does he bring Chloe to heaven? It's like, no, that's not right, because her life's here on Earth. But it's like, can he try to do the whole commute thing of like working as God and coming? That's going to be a whole conversation, I'm sure. So, but it seems like that, in combination with the fact is of what's going on in hell, someone else took the throne, even though it's supposed to be Maze's. But I think it's also because like Maze probably isn't as gun-ho about the throne as she once was, because she has extra reason to stay on Earth now. Before, that was when she didn't have much reason to stay on Earth, when in actuality she's always had major reasons, she just never really realized it. But now that her and Eve are together, which we even see them, you know, doing their thing as bounty hunters, she's not going to go back to hell. She probably doesn't have as much interest in the throne. I wonder if they're going to be a part of her, well, because that also would depend on if Eve actually goes to hell or not, because I was about to say, like, oh, not unless they could rule together. I'm like, no, I don't know how that would necessarily work. I mean, not unless Maze has plans to be like, oh, I'm going to take you to hell and you'll rule by my side. Time will work differently, but once again, Eve doesn't want to live forever. So, I don't know. I don't see that happening. So I'm going to kind of throw that out. I think just Maze doesn't want the throne, so while she didn't take the throne, someone else finally decided, hey, I'm going to occupy it and take it myself. So, because it has been unoccupied since Lucifer left last season, at the beginning of the like first half of earlier parts of the first half of season 5 and everything. So now the big question is, who is this new queen on the throne? There might be, this is kind of a rhetorical question, just me kind of thinking out loud. Someone might actually have an answer, maybe the information's out there who she is, but I'm just guessing, you know, just the nature of these videos and stuff like that. So I was about to say, it's like, well, obviously we know she's not Lilith, so, and she's got the blood wings. So I was like, when you see wings, you immediately think angels. So not unless she's one of his cast aside siblings, like maybe that's one of his siblings that like joined his side and got cast out of heaven too. It, you know, because maybe it wasn't just demons that were on Lucifer's side. Maybe he had at least one angel on his side. But then I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I'm thinking, at first I'm like, another thought crossed my mind, I'm like, could she be the Antichrist? Could that be what that is? Or are we setting up like, oh, I'm your daughter, dickwad, and it's like, wait, Lucifer has a daughter who has dad issues, which, once again, universally, it'd be the ultimate irony and full circleness of him with his major dad issues. So I don't know if that would necessarily be his daughter or illegitimate child or something like that. Like, no, demons don't have wings. The only people who have wings are angels, but for her to be blood wings, they might have something to do with, like, because of his devil face at the time. I mean, especially because, like, what his wings look like when he had his devil face at one point in time, they shifted to actual devil wings. So, don't know what to make of that. I'm really interested to find out like what that whole aspect is about. I am kind of leaning towards, I think it'd be neat if it came full circle that she is kind of his daughter, because it's like, wait, how did this happen? Like, is she actually his child, or is she someone Lucifer took under his wing? But it's like, right, when you abandon hell for your life on earth, like, you abandoned me, as she has resentment issues, much like Lucifer had with his mom and his dad, you know? So, like I said, I think it'd be a very neat for the final season to kind of make that come full circle, and Lucifer, who's kind of dished that out for so long, finally has to kind of take it himself of like that resentment. We'll see. Other than that, we get the we get some Amenadal as a cop situation, and like, you know, it seems like it's him kind of as a beat cop. He's not, obviously not a detective, but, you know, probably trying to live up to Dan's example and, you know, working his way up, which is like it's nice to get like little peeks into that. There's the whole speaking of Dan's situation, we do get a couple shots of Dan. I'm assuming most of those shots are of him in hell. There was even one point it looked like it was him that was trying to like tackle our new queen of hell, but he phased through her, which I'm like, oh, that must be because in that particular scene it must still be in hell. And they never actually, like, I don't think it's ever come up in this series. I'm assuming when you have control of hell, when you're the ruler of hell, like, no, I mean, besides Lucifer can never be hurt anyway, most of the demons can't, but I'm like, I wonder, do the rules make it so that whoever is ruling hell at the time is invulnerable? Because I'm thinking like, or maybe that's just naturally part of her powers or something, that, like, I assume that has to deal with like her being a ruler of hell at the time, so like she's like unfazed by like what, like I said, I believe was Dan attacking her. But at another point in time, we see Dan, and there's Maze and Ella near him, and like there's a severed head, and she's like, calm down, this is the way I found it. And I'm like, is that actually on Earth, or is that in hell? Because is that the real Maze, and is the Ella beside him just a demon pretending to be Ella? And like, rather than going to Chloe, she goes to hell so she can ask Dan for help as a detective. Like, I wonder if it was something of that vein. I think that'd be interesting. Cause I was about to say, now if he's back on Earth, it's like, how do you explain that? Do you make it so, oh, Dan faked his death? Like, is that how they get around it? I mean, Lucifer is God, so like he can kind of make things happen, but maybe try to make things happen is also the reason why the rule, like, things kind of shatter, because all the rules and the way things have kind of been set up before, now he's kind of breaking them to a certain extent to fit what he wants to happen. So, you know, maybe there's like, maybe him trying to break the rules for Dan causes some universal collateral damage, essentially. I don't know. Once again, just speculation, throwing it out there, but it's nice seeing some Dan stuff as well, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. Lucifer back in therapy, which Linda's like, I thought I wasn't your therapist anymore. It's like, well, I mean, the world's without a God, so obviously this is where I'm supposed to be. So it's like, once again, that's going to be a whole thing of like, yeah, I'm no longer just being the therapist for the devil. I'm being the therapist for the former devil, now God. So it's like, that list on your resume that you can never tell anybody about. You know, it's like, I've literally shrinked the devil who's now become God. You know, no one will ever know what you've done for kind of the universe in a sense, Linda. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm curious, is it going to be a lot less therapy this season? More? Is it going to be the same amount? Like, what's that final therapy session going to be like? Especially because, you know, Lucifer made a whole point like, oh, like, he doesn't need therapy. She's like, yeah, I thought we were done, like she was saying. So we'll see how that all turns out. I'm almost about to leave out the best part. There's going to be an animated section. I'd love it if most of the episode was animated, because also this is like Lucifer's taking Chloe to hell. And it's like, oh, cool. They go through a door and it's an animated section. Perfect timing, because obviously WB wise, like, there was an episode of Supernatural that was a crossover with Scooby-Doo, which I love that episode. There was a couple episodes back, there was an episode this season of DC's Legends of Tomorrow that was animated partially. So I hope this, for most of that episode's animated, it's probably only like a section. It's also interesting too, because like, considering like Space Jam, A New Legacy came out and everything too. So just interesting animation throwdown in like the WB corner essentially. But there's that, and there's also the stinger at the end of the trailer where Chloe's like, yeah, there's one final mystery, the murder of Lucifer Morningstar, and she proceeds to attack him, and it's like, oh, looks like she's got some supernatural powers. I'm like, okay, so Queen Bee of Hell most likely possessed Chloe's body. I mean, usually you have to be dead for them to be able to like get possess a body. So maybe because she's Queen of Hell, she was able to like break the rules on that, and maybe that's what it is, or maybe it's a mind control thing. We'll have to wait and see. But once again, I'm still surprised at how soon it's going to be when we get this final season. Like I said, other than like looking up the number of episodes for this season, which is 10, I have not looked into anything else because this trailer wants to be I want the trailer to be the only thing I look at or know about related to this final season. So I'm very, very excited to see how the series wraps up. Obviously, these are some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What are some things you want from this final season? What's some things you expect to see in this final season? Let me know. But really, that's all I want to talk about today. Next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.